Madeira. This Portuguese island in the Atlantic Ocean is a haven for bikepacking. As I raced back down the mountain to Funchal, I saw a worrying news report.
We're seeing reports of flight delays following what is reportedly a major network-wide failure of the UK air traffic control computer system this morning. We've had a statement that we are currently experiencing a technical issue and have applied traffic flow restrictions to maintain safety.
It turns out all flights to the UK were cancelled, so I was stranded on the island. I started to panic a bit. I headed back down to the hotel who'd kindly stored my bike box while I was out bikepacking. This was in the August bank holiday, so right at the end of August here in the UK. I headed to the EasyJet desk to see what I could do. They should be able to transfer me to another flight, but the next available flight to Manchester wasn't until the 21st of September. I had to get back to the UK for a family wedding, so I was starting to get a little bit stressed. I also had work as well, so I felt like I didn't really know what to do at this point. Now, by some miracle, after hours and hours of speaking to people on the phone, looking at Skyscanner, trying to find some flights anywhere off the island, I managed to find that there was one space available on a flight the following day to London Gatwick. So I quickly paid for that. I don't know how much it was, I just wanted to get off the island. And by doing so, it meant that the following day, I could get back to the UK. I was really, really lucky. I heard so many stories of people on Madeira especially, where there aren't a huge amount of flights to the UK every week, who were stranded there for a very long period of time and had to spend a lot of money to get off there. Because I was travelling solo, it was a lot easier for me. I could book that final seat. I didn't have to book for other people. It meant that I could get back home safely, which I did the next day. I had to trek up the rest of the UK to get back to my house, but I was just so thankful I wasn't stranded on the island. Now, in reality, being stranded on Madeira is quite a nice thing because it is an absolutely beautiful island. If you haven't got any commitments like work or family to get back to, it's not a bad place to be stuck. The weather is absolutely beautiful for most of the year. I went towards the end of August, like I said, so it was quite hot. The scenery is incredible, incredible views, really tough climbs, but when you get to the top, it absolutely blows you away with its beauty. So let's look at the behind the scenes. I flew from Manchester here in the UK to Funchal. It's a direct flight, it's about 4 hours, wasn't too expensive. I stayed in a hotel near the airport who kindly stored my bike box for the duration of the trip. On day one, my plan was to go across the entire island to the north. Now, the north of Madeira is known as being the more beautiful side of the island, a little bit more lush, a little bit more rural, so I was really looking forward to going there. The plan was to go right across the middle over to Seychelles and then over to Port Moniz. There's actually only one official campsite on the whole of the island, and I had planned on staying there. I'd brought my camping equipment, the tent, the sleeping bag, everything I needed so that I could do that. As is often the way with bikepacking, you have to make changes. Things don't always go to plan, and they didn't on this occasion as well. I was the main problem here in that my fitness probably wasn't where it should be. I planned quite a long route, roughly 60 to 65 miles, and it is very mountainous here. And the heat was getting to me and the climbing was getting to me as well. So I managed to do roughly 20 miles and I was just going so slow. I managed to find somewhere online in a tiny village called Santo de Serra, which was absolutely beautiful. It's quite a high up village, so it was very cloudy, as you can see, which meant it wasn't that warm, but it was quite nice given that the ride up was pretty intense. It was nice to cool down a little bit at the top. I ended up staying at what was quite a posh house, but not in the house itself. It was like some sort of quarters on the land for the people that worked there, the housekeepers, the gardeners and stuff. But there was also separate apartments for people who wanted to book there. And it was really, really cheap. It was absolutely beautiful and completely tranquil and quiet. I had the whole apartment to myself. Because I booked it quite last minute, they were still sort of cleaning it and getting it ready for me as I showed up. But they were really accommodating, could bring my bike straight in as well, which was ideal. In hindsight, I didn't really have to book anything because the following day, literally 2, maybe 3 miles up the road, there were some lovely open plains which were used by a lot of hikers and other people who were wild camping there. So I thought to myself, I could have saved a bit of money there, but I didn't know that was there. So hindsight being 2020, that's probably what I would have done if I could go back and do it again. It can be quite annoying flying halfway across the world with your camping gear and then not actually using it. But to be honest, I still had an amazing experience in the place that I was staying. I was a bit gutted that I couldn't go to the north of the island. There were so many places I wanted to visit and I wanted to capture with the drone and the camera, but it's kind of given me a good excuse to come back another time. On day 2, I carried on from Santo de Serra up the mountain and came above the cloud line, and when I did, it was absolutely breathtaking. I could fly the drone with clear views. It was like a cloud inversion, so it just looked really magical. That's the point where I bumped into loads of mountain bikers. Madeira is one of the most popular places for downhill mountain biking, enduro, whatever you want to call it. It's a really popular thing nowadays. And because the weather's pretty nice, the scenery's incredible, and the mountains are really big, it can be a really exciting place to do that sort of thing if you're the sort of person who's confident bombing it down hills, which I'm not. The road down the mountain was basically a fire road. There was nobody using it. It was a dead end at the top. So as a result, there were no cars, so I could go pretty quick down the descent, as fast as I dared going anyway. It was amazing going through the cloud line. It was like I was flying through the air at the top. Amazing descent, lots of twists and turns, and very beautiful. So I eventually rejoined the route that I should have been on the next day back to Funchal, the last bit anyway. Now Funchal is the capital of Madeira, there's a lot going on, it is a beautiful place. I managed to get some great footage of the port, and I was staying in a kind of cheap hotel slash restaurant really. It was a little bit interesting, but they had a basement level where I could store my bike, and I had my own nice room and a balcony. Really lovely place to stay, right in the centre. I'm really excited to announce a brand new newsletter that I'm bringing out every single month to people who subscribed. If you want to know more about that, you can sign up in the top right hand corner there, or there'll be a link in the description. But every month I'll be bringing out a behind the scenes write-up of the film that month, some sneak peeks for upcoming films, some updates and gear reviews as well. It's your opportunity to learn a bit more about me and what goes on behind the scenes away from the video as well. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe. I've got some amazing bikepacking trips lined up for this year. I'm super excited to bring them out, and I'm super excited to see how this channel grows throughout the year. So if you like this sort of content, please do me a massive favour by giving it a thumbs up, sharing it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.